Would you rather host a cockroach orgy in your inner ear or play a game of Would You Rather with the mainstream media? My name's Dom.
My name's Adrian.
And we're playing Would You Rather. Would you rather hot craft beer or cold hot chips?
I've been to the United Kingdom, Dom. I can't reconcile room temperature beer, let alone hot beer.
The thing about hot craft beer is, yes, the first one's terrible, but the more drunk you get, the better it gets and the more you get used to it.
So true, and your senses get dulled.
Yeah.
And you can face reality with a little bit more, say, alkalinity. Yeah, pizzazz, just a bit more presence. Like,
confidence.
Oh God, life, this creative world's so boring. At least I've had 3 hot beers.
Cold hot chips get worse and worse the more you have, but hot craft beer gets better and better the more you have.
We'd rather hot craft beer.
Would you rather drop a Mr. Worldwide song mid-set to 100,000 people or play a perfect set to a crowd of 3?
Being able to play to a crowd of 3 would be an honor because you'd have all of their attention. That's what I would gravitate toward.
Totally. We used to host these underground parties in Bondi in one of those stormwater drains, and you could only fit 3 people in there by the time you put the decks and the speakers there, and best nights, of my life.
The acoustics in those spaces are out of control.
Totally.
It's amazing. So less is way more. Would you rather have your own podcast, but you can only use the word harm, as in leg of harm, as in, ham and cheese, or have a podcast about different types of sand?
Harm.
Yeah.
Harm.
Harm.
So harm and harm.
Yeah, harm. But then you're also like, okay, so today we're going to talk about silica.
Well, harm.
Yeah.
Harm.
But when you walk on the thicker, bigger grains of sand, you get less sand on your feet. But when you go up to bloody Queensland and it's that white squeaky sand, it's not only like as hot as the fiery pits of Hades. It's impossible to get that pristine sand off your skin.
Harm.
Yeah. Would you rather drink cold brew pressed in a urinal or go without coffee for the rest of your life?
That's a pretty simple one because our local cafe actually does a urinal pressed cold brew.
Urinal cakes are actually fantastic in a plunger because they're already circular and cylindrical. So you put a urinal cake just under the bottom of the French press and you press it down with the coffee and it releases like fruit of the forest.
You're also really supporting one of Bondi's kind of greatest characters, Trough Boy, who was like well known by locals for just laying in the troughs of bars and pubs and he liked to get pissed on. But he kind of developed that personality into opening his own cafe.
Yeah.
And it's just great to support local businesses, particularly after such a hard year.
Totally. And there's no way that I would go a single day without coffee, let alone the rest of my life.
Would you rather go to a sober bush doof or see any mainstream artist live in concert?
If we were to go to a mainstream concert, right, we'd be surrounded by people who chew gum, hose their driveway, have a timeshare on a boat, live on an estate in Kenthurst, and go to a winery once a year. But when you go to a bush doof, even if it was sober, you're kind of like, oh, actually, I'm doing great. Because when you go to bush doofs, there are tons of squinters there, people with really kind of dreads in their beards, and you're like, what do you even do for your life? How are you even alive? Wow, I'm so glad that you exist because I'm doing so much better than you. And being sober, I can comprehend that actually by living in Bondi, I'm just so much more successful than anyone that ever goes to a bush doof ever.
Would you rather wear used underwear from a thrift shop or rock fast fashion?
I'd rather, wear used underwear from a thrift shop. It's like the concept of a skitty does not put me off whatsoever. We've got human bodies. It's nice to be reminded that strangers have assholes too. And even if we see a bit of kind of caked in excretions on one's underwear, it's nice reminder,
Keeps you grounded.
Everybody poos, everybody wheezes, and in fact, Dom, because you have 0 ass cheeks, your skitties sometimes find their way through to the denim. Dom's bumhole looks like a puckered mouth, because years of having no bum cheeks, there's really nothing protecting his anus. So it protrudes quite a lot, and it's more of a condition. I'm not trying to be dirty, but it's...
I think we answered the question about 3 minutes ago. Wear used underwear from a thrift shop. That's what we would rather do.
But you do have a weird bumhole because you have no cheeks. Would you rather buy vintage leather cowboy boots worn by Kevin Parker and not be able to eat, or be able to eat for a week but be bootless? I'd rather wear vintage leather cowboy boots and not eat. I'd pay thousands of dollars to go for a week and not eat at some retreat in Mullumbimby, you know. But if I could not eat and get some boots worn by Kevin Parker,
$18 pair of boots from
totally,
Vinnie's.
yeah, like
Done.
cool.